I got a hot one tonight. I'm going to be in Big Brother form for this one. I just had a great workout, so I am ready for this one. Let's talk about, first of all, I need to make something clear before we start praising the bullshit that happened in this episode. That the only two players so far to be shown, anyway, with the edit, to actually be trying to win this game is Shannon and Ricard. They are the only two people that have been shown to actually be playing for themselves. And when you're playing for yourself, you're playing to win the fucking game. This is something I always say in Big Brother. If you're just trying to placate your fucking alliances all the time, you're gonna get fucked at some point, most likely. So far, all we've been shown, the only people playing to win are Shannon and Ricard. So make that fucking clear before we get to Xander, okay? And yes, I will be shitting on Xander yet again because yes, I'm gonna give him credit for playing the optimal move, but this was more Leanna being dumb than Xander being right. I mean, he did the obvious play. The obvious play was to give the idol to Tiffany. If they didn't figure that out, it would have been pretty bad. But let's not act like Xander going forward isn't going to be a huge target. Xander's going to have to win out at some point to win this game. Xander is not playing to win this game for himself. I have not seen any indication that Xander is playing this game to win. I just want to say that. But I gotta go back now. And talk about all the people, the usual on Facebook, talking about, oh my God, another Black Alliance. Of course we were gonna have complaining, oh, how racist it is that the Black Alliance is working together. How racist it is that the Black Alliance is working together. We heard the same fucking thing about the cookout on Big Brother. Even though for 20 years on both of these shows, there's been mostly white alliances. Every fucking season. So I do understand the complaining. It's white fragility. And all this white fragility just shows how fucking pathetic white people can be. Fellow white people, y'all are weak as fuck. Weak as fuck. You're weak as fuck. You get a little adversity, and oh my God, it's the end of the fucking world. How unfair it is that we don't have the advantages we've had forever. Anyway, I also need to point out that 4-time loser, the biggest loser in the history of the show, Russell Hantz, also on this topic all fucking week about how make Survivor great again and how this alliance was racist and blah, 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 blah. I mean, to be frank, Russell is the biggest loser of the show. There's been other 4-time losers, but one of them lost twice because of twists, sorry. And another one lost 4 times, but won once, Rob. And his win was a fluke, let's be real. And then we got Ozzy. He might be a terrible loser himself, but at least he almost won his first season. He was 1 vote away from winning his first season. But Russell lost every time he played, once in Australian Survivor and 3 times in America because of his own shitty social game. Russell has one of the worst social games in the history of the show, bar none. And he also cried after he kept losing that the game needed to be changed. So, that's another debate for another time. It's like Days versus Van Guy probably could have that debate about bitter juries and what a jury looks for in a winner. Russell went around purposely pissing people off. It's one thing to piss people out with game moves, but Russell went around purposely trying to get under people's skin, which is terrible social game. You're not trying to win the game when you're doing that shit. But anyway, all this complaining from the whites and from whites like Russell, only for in this episode, we got the white players, and this has been a trend over the last 3 episodes with Xander, which I will point out, but we have the white people in this episode only wanting to work with white people too, and wanting to vote out the shot. And this is something that happens all the time on these games, is the white people stick together. So why is it when the Black people want to stick together, it's suddenly an issue? Well, we know why, because white people are so fragile. And if you get any sort of pushback, oh my God, we're losing our power, the white people start to fucking cry like pussy ass bitches. And I mean, it should probably be no surprise because I feel like the same people the same white people on Facebook complaining about the Black Lions, the camp out, are the same people that fucking thought JFK Jr. was coming back from the dead yesterday in Dallas because your IQs are so fucking low. But anyway, I feel like that we've seen Xander this entire season do nothing but want to work with white people and constantly be like sketchy about Black people specifically, but all the players of color. So Xander ain't shit, and he does nothing but have a target on his back. I don't care about his fucking plight that he had to do so much to get his idol. Well, so did everybody else cry about it. He still has two advantages, and he had a good episode, but I still don't feel like he's playing to win the game. Nothing about this episode screams Xander is playing to win the game. It screams Xander is desperate to keep numbers, but as we saw at the end of this episode, and they were like, oh my God, Cindy will work with us, or Sydney, whatever her fucking name was, Sydney will work with us, only for Sydney to get voted out. But so far, Xander has shown nothing about wanting to work with people of color, and he's running out of white people to work with, unless he wants to work with Heather. So, not impressed by Xander. His move tonight, like I said earlier, it was the optimal move, and it wasn't that hard to figure out. Liana was just dumb as hell for not considering that possibility that he was going to give it to someone else and that it could have been a fake idol. So that was more on Liana than it was on Xander being doing the right move. Let's be real. Tiffany of the three is the one that will backstab them all. Tiffany talks and has the best social game of the three. Evie got exposed in this episode by Deshawn. So I don't know how much Evie's going to garner in trust. So it's really going to have to be Tiffany who works for those three to get numbers. But I feel like it's probably going to be more of the same over the next few episodes of them trying to guess who the vote is against and trying to use the idol on the right person. So that's not an optimal spot to be in. So yes, they made the optimal move, but they're not even close to being in the optimal spot, for the record. They make everybody this season talks way too much, clearly. And Xander was talking way too much. I just don't understand why Xander wants to put an even bigger target on his back. And that's why I'm just not impressed, as everybody else will try to pretend they are, with Xander. And it's not that I'd say that those three cannot survive a couple more episodes. But at some point, either Tiffany's going to turn on Evie and Xander, or they're eventually one of them is going to go out. And I would think that Xander might be the bigger target of those three. But that's basically all I wanted to say. After all that uproar of the camp out last week, we saw the whites all trying to work together themselves, per usual. I'll talk more tomorrow on the rankings. Hopefully, we'll see how the rankings turn out. Until then, don't be as big of a loser as Russell Hantz. That's really all I have to say.